Hey everybody, welcome to Trading Capital's exclusive analysis. In today's video, we're discussing Tesla and SMCI. So Tesla, obviously everyone's known, had that massive technical breakdown. The support level that we gave, the initial support level in our video that we did a few days ago, about a week ago, actually gave you this target to go long on Tesla for a potential bounce. Now, I don't think Tesla's at its big technical swing trade level. Could it hold up here and chop sideways and move up to try to test this gap fill? It could, but I still think you're into a whole host of resistance. And what's interesting about Tesla is this is a big breakdown. This is a bearish gap that is opened, and it's opened on the back of triggering a head and shoulders. Here you have a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder. And this is actually a weekly chart pattern, and you can clearly see it on the charts. We've triggered this 100%. We've absolutely opened the doors for this head and shoulders pattern to play out. Head and shoulders patterns are typically bearish. They have about a 70-75% chance of playing out. So the downside target, if you take that high point, measure to the low point, drop it down to the neckline, you could see Tesla flushing all the way back to about 90 bucks, taking out this low pivot. Is that my base case? No, but it's certainly something that is open and on the table now that we've had that technical breakdown on the weekly chart. So first things foremost, how are we going to make money on Tesla right now? Well, I still think Tesla's actually going to get faded here in the next couple of sessions. I think maybe you get a push up into this resistance at 194, 195, call it. And then I think Tesla's actually going to have some sellers start to push it right back down again. It's naturally expected for Tesla to get a big bounce off of this level, but typically that initial curling of the RSI, that initial bounce gets you that little bit of a day trading, swing trading opportunity, and then you actually should take out and make a new low, and then you'll start creating a little bit of a positive divergence. So we don't have that divergence yet on the RSI, so I still think Tesla will go a little bit lower after it pushes up a little bit more. So the big level, the neckline is going to be the big level. This low pivot to that low pivot to this low pivot. As long as you trade below there, if Tesla gets back up into this area and retest support, retest resistance, it's a short. It's a short basically all the way down. I still think Tesla can be a short setup if we get a few more days of sideways price action under this 195 level. That could also be another technical short. I do have a buy level on Tesla, but it is lower. I'm looking to start a position around the 170 and lower mark. Now there is a potential. So remember the bullish pattern that Tesla triggered here. Here you have your left shoulder. Let me actually just draw this in. So this was the big bullish reversal pattern in Tesla. Had you bought the lows, you would have done extremely well there. I bought the lows but sold way too soon. I had an average of around 111 on Tesla off of this buy at the dip here, and I sold it at about 150. Probably should have held on to it a lot more, but again, that's just the way the cookie crumbles in the business of trading. Should have, would have, and could have are the best traders. Now, this is your big inverted head and shoulders. This was your bullish pattern that triggered. You actually broke the neckline here. So if I draw the neckline across, you can clearly see there's a chance that Tesla may want to retrace back to the breakout zone. So this was your breakout zone of your bullish pattern. Now I think Tesla is going to get a retrace somewhere in and around this range. This is a downsloping trend line. So the longer it takes for Tesla to get there, the lower the price action goes. But somewhere on this trend line, call it 140 to 150, should be a stellar level on Tesla. And it's looking actually very likely that Tesla will get down to that pattern chart level. Again, remember the head and shoulders has a downside target, a fully measured move downside target of around 87 bucks. But there will be buyable trading opportunity levels in and around many of these support zones before you get to the actual fully measured move. Now, just because you've triggered a head and shoulders doesn't mean it actually has to get down there. It just means that that's a scenario that could play out. So you always want to use your position management. You always want to know kind of the probabilities around how much is a certain scenario likely to play out compared to another one, because that's going to really decide how heavy you should go into the trade. So enough about Tesla. Let's talk about the strong semiconductors. SMCI gapping up here on earnings. Remember, this one had forward guidance ahead of its earnings, and it gapped up over 30%. And now you can clearly see it's up again in the after hours about 8.75%. Earnings didn't change. It's still the same numbers digesting from the markets, but it's up another whopping whopping gain on the session. So clearly this one's gone absolutely parabolic. I'm looking at day trading shorts tomorrow. I think we get a little bit of a morning squeeze in this name that pushes semis a little bit higher, triggers some short covering, and then I think we get an afternoon sell. So look for some potential fading opportunities. What I would mark on your chart is basically the high pivot. The highest point that SMCI traded in the after hours is sitting at 550. So look for a retrace back to that 550 as a potential opportunity to get in some intraday short action. On that note, again, SMCI is lifting the semiconductor market in the after hours. What's interesting, even with the strength in the semis in the after hours, you have Nvidia up, Amazon up, Meta up, whopping, Microsoft up. The S&P is still down in the after hours. So again, the S&P has been leading this market to new all-time highs. Semis were the leaders before they've taken a breather. Here, if you look at the SOXX, fallen sharply here. If you look at the SMH, it has fallen off of its highs, but the S&P is putting in new highs. So if we start to see the S&P 500 and semiconductors potentially start to roll over and break lower, that's going to give us a definitive signal in the market that likely means a near-term top is in. I've informed my members this weekly doji, this weekly hammer reversal likely gets a retest, a retracement, and that's what we're getting right now on the session. And it likely still means that this indice has a near-term top, at least in the semiconductor market. Massive resistance levels on the semis, one of my favorite resistance charts to trade. It's a weekly chart setup. And again, it can something can consolidate at the highs for quite a long time in a little bit of a holding distribution pattern before you get a bigger technical breakdown. I do think that the semis will see some lower price action in the next 2 to 3 months. It's just a matter of, is it going to be on the earnings of, say, Nvidia, AMD, AVGO, or is it going to come after? Are the earnings going to give you that final hoorah pop? And then investors start to price in too much optimism for the semis, too much growth. Time will tell, but certainly interesting to see SMCI up yet again, another 8 to 10% in the after hours. Hopefully this analysis helps. Hopefully people can find some takeaways from this video. If you're interested in how I'm trading, definitely check out my tradingcapital.ca Discord. My members took on 3 new long positions today, and we're already in the money 2, 3, 4% respectively on those swing trades, and I'm looking for further upside in some individual names. So on that note, please give this video a big like down below and stay tuned for more price action. Take care, everybody. Thanks for being subscribers.